Welcome to section User Interaction. In this section we're going to take a look at registering touch events, registering our own custom fonts and then rendering them, saving data using shared preferences, and interacting with the physical world using the vibration and accelerometer functions of Android in our LibGDX game. We're going to register touch events with our LibGDX game. In this video we're going to look at registering touch input, whether or not a touch has been registered, and querying the position of a touch. So in our main menu screen we're going to create a local update method. Like we did with the gameplay screen, all of our update is separate from this render class. So public void update. And here we're just going to have a simple if statement. If GDX input.is touched, and if anywhere on the screen is touched, then we're going to go to the gameplay screen. How we're going to do this, if you see, we initialized our screen with an instance of this example class. So what we can then do is we can write example.setScreen example.gameplayScreen. Now we can hop into our gameplay screen, and what we're going to do is we're going to detect whether or not the player's finger touches wherever the blue rectangle is, and each time the player does that, the score is going to get incremented by 1 each time. Now because we need exact coordinates and not whether or just, a touch anywhere is detected, we're going to need a slightly more sophisticated method. So we're going to create our own public boolean, so it's going to return true or false, is touched. This is going to be our local is touched method. And the parameters are going to be x, y, width, height, a vector3 touch, and that should be all. So what we're going to do is, we're essentially going to be asking, right, wherever the user has touched, does it enter this sort of rectangular area that we're going to have? And that rectangular area is going to be our rectangle here. So in this method, actually before we delve into this, we should probably create a vector3. Just create this here, vector3 touch. And this is going to essentially parse our touch as a 3-dimensional vector. So here we're going to touch equals new vector3. Then we can go back down to our isTouch method. In here we're going to have again our if statement of if GDX input is touched in general. If that is the case, then we're going to grab our touch vector3. Actually we don't need to even pass this through because we have this up here. If it is touched, then we're going to set our touch to whatever the x coordinate of our touch was, and same with our y coordinate. And we're not in 3D, so we don't need a third value. If that is the case, then camera unproject touch. So because the orthographic camera works for different resolutions, so it needs to actually convert all of this. And then if touch.x is less than or equal to the x that we pass in, and touch.x is is more than or equal to this x, and touch is less than or equal to x plus width. So again, we're just testing whether or not this touch is within a set rectangular area that we're making. And, not a comma, and if touch.y, and again same logic with y, if touch.y is more than or equal to y, and touch.y is less than or equal to y plus height. And that should be it. This set should not have had a curly bracket, that's just, there we go. That tidies it up a little bit. Yeah. Now, if that's the case, then return true. If none of this is the case, then return false. And there we have our touch is touch method. We can call this in our update. So in our update method, we can ask if is touched. We grab the player's x, player's y, player's width, and player's height. That's the rectangular area that we're detecting, whether or not it's touched. And we're simply just going to, instead of the effect playing here, we'll cut that, and we'll have the effect play here, just so we know. So if we test this now, if you see, I'll be touching in random places, nothing will happen. However, if I touch on the blue rectangle, whoops, then we get our sound effect. However, if I touch anywhere else, then I will not.